Oh, they were on a 3-year, and then it's been 2 years since Ultra. Yeah, for 2 years since
Maybe they're
Ultra.
accelerating now. Maybe there'll be another one in a year.
In 5 years, they'll be King Gizzard.
Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music through the lens of our favorite artists' discographies. I'm Matt Kistler.
And I'm Troy Sennett.
And today we are wrapping up our series, for now, on Detroit hardcore collective The Armed with their newest record, which came out about a month ago as of our recording this. The Future is Here and Everything Needs to Be Destroyed. For context, this was released August 1st of this year, 2025, assuming you're listening to this in 2025. Came out, as the last few albums have, on Sargent House. Pretty familiar credits on this one. The record's produced by Ben Chiselman and The Armed, who have worked together on the last few Armed records. We've got some additional production by Derek Coburn and Justin Meadle-Johnson, names that are very familiar to this podcast, and it was also mixed by Derek Coburn. This record, weirdly for me, felt like it kind of came out of nowhere, because it, like, we literally just talked about this, that The Armed has kind of started going at a faster clip as the years have gone by, but it felt like the lead up to this album was relatively short, and that might just be because I've kind of gotten into a rhythm of like listening to a couple of singles leading up to an album and then just like waiting until the record comes out to hear the rest in context. Troy, you kind of just came into this cold, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had not really, obviously, like, heard a ton of the Armed stuff before we decided to do this series, and so I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna wait to listen to this in order. I wasn't gonna jump ahead to it. And I love this album. This might be my favorite thing they've ever done. I can say with pretty much certainty that the closing track on it is my favorite Armed song. As we'll get to, obviously, as we go through the songs. But I was just kind of floored by the way this album engages with the present and like the way how it feels to live right now. And they've always been a very like present tense band, with their cultural critiques and political statements in their lyrics, but like this album just felt more. This felt like the most current record that I've maybe ever heard in my life. They talk about it in one of the interviews, like it reflects the dissociation required just to exist in this reality. I think they just do such a great job expressing that, and then trying to give you some like empowerment to live through it. What did you think coming into this record with a much longer sort of fandom of the band than I have?
I mean, I also love this record a whole lot. I was likewise floored by it. Which is like it's interesting because like in a lot of ways, I've kind of mentioned this elsewhere, but it feels like this record is much less a reinvention of The Armed sonically, as much as it is like kind of taking everything that they've done really well so far and like making it even better somehow. And there are still like surprises peppered in throughout this album, but yeah, to your point, like kind of about the immediacy of the album. Yeah, like a big goal of this album was to kind of go into it without this like kind of grand notion of like the ways in which it's going to come out sonically, and more to go in it with like this kind of this sense of immediacy. This the band kind of talked about, or Tony specifically talked in interviews about how they had this like massive set of Google Doc manifestos that they were passing around to kind of like make sure that they were all like, you know, on the same page about what they wanted to make and like what they wanted to convey with it. And what we end up here is, yeah, this very immediate, very crushing, very not pessimistic, but not pessimistic record. Maybe realistic is the better word for it. But like, yeah, other things that are kind of talked about around like the theming of this record, for lack of a better way of putting it, is like this discarding of things like toxic positivity and this attempt to like self-reflect, even though and perhaps because it hurts to do so, to kind of realize one's flaws and one's place in this kind of greater machine that is tearing most people in the world apart, for the benefit of a select few people who suck ass, and are in positions of power. It is a record that hits you hard and fast and like kind of rarely lets up, but like coming at it from a sonic standpoint, it doesn't like we kind of talked on Untitled specifically about just an absolute onslaught of like sonic pummeling with no breaks is really hard to get through. This record does not suffer from that at all, I don't think. It has a lot of really intense songs in a row, but it never feels like it's overstaying its welcome on that front.
Yeah, and it achieves that contrast not through like a synthy interlude. Like the songs themselves, especially in the back half of the album, take on kind of different tones and different feels and stuff. And I think it makes it flow better. It's also a shorter album. It's only about half an hour long, so it really moves in a way that even most of the other Armed albums don't. Although, like, obviously, they're all fast and loud and abrasive and stuff. But this one feels like it has a flow to it that it just kind of makes it fly by.
Yeah, for sure. One of the quotes that I pulled from one of the interviews that I really feel kind of encapsulates everything is Tony says, like, kind of talking about the history of the band and like kind of what they've been going for versus what they're doing here, is I spent years talking shit about some shit that doesn't matter at the moment. If there are cracks in the plaster but the house is on fire, you deal with the flames first. Which almost feels like something we would have heard come out of a Rise Against press cycle, but like it feels very real and very true to the output that is on the record here.
Yeah, are you familiar with this sort of idea that this is I promise this is related.
Yes,
with
fine.
the idea that it seems like none of the great filmmakers of the current era are interested in making movies about the current era. Like, have you read any of these? There's been like plenty of writing about this.
I am not familiar with this. Tell me more.
So just looking at like who the kind of I guess the great living directors are, whether it's Spielberg or Christopher Nolan, or name your big current director, Scorsese, whatever. Basically all of them are making period pieces. None of them seem all that interested in making anything about the present. And so and like I guess it's this. Some of it is the idea that like the cell phone ruined all movie plots. You can't make a movie with an interesting plot if people can just text each other all the time or whatever, if they're
right.
always so there's a little bit of that. But I think I wish I should have found like a good piece to cite about this, but I didn't. But this idea that a lot of artists that we recognize as great, or especially the ones that are getting older, are only backwards looking, and none of them want to engage with the present. And that's why like something like Eddington, which came out earlier this year, is such a fascinating movie. Or I think like Jordan Peele's Nope is also kind of similar in this way, that those are very much movies about the way that things are like right now or within the past few years. And I was thinking about that stuff a lot while listening to this album, because yeah, like you said, it's a lot of rock music is very nostalgic, or very like there's the woe is me stuff, but there's it's easier to write music about the present because a lot of people are writing from their own personal experiences or whatever. But even so, I think it's rare for a band. I mean, Rise Against is a good call. They're a band that is often writing about current social issues in a very visceral way, discourse around Ricochet notwithstanding. But this album, like I was saying, this feels just even more like, yes, the house is on fire than almost any other band that I regularly listen to.
Do you feel like part of that hesitancy from other corners of both the rock world and the film world is around the potential to feel dated almost immediately, given how fast everything is shifting?
Yes, I think that is more. I think that's more in film than in music, probably, just because also the life cycle of music is so much faster. Like you can write a record and put it out in a few months if you want. You're not too concerned about vinyl delays or whatever.
Right.
But movies take years to make, so there's an element of you don't want things to feel dated or to feel passé right when they are first experienced. Interestingly, I think the Armed is maybe a bit of an exception to the like the that like quick life cycle of music, because they're always talking about how they're pulling songs from sessions that ideas that came almost a decade ago. I think there's a song on this, obviously. Well, there's songs on this that they take song titles or ideas
Right.
from These Are Lights. There's songs that they mention were written during the ultra pop era or during the Only Love era, or the seeds of the ideas are from back then. So they let these songs gestate for a while, but the lyrics I think probably do come a lot closer to the recording time.
For sure, yeah, and like I mean, I don't pose that question. I think pretty obviously to suggest that like this album will feel dated, because I really feel like the Armed gets at something really fundamental while like kind of looking at it through the lens of the way that we are experiencing it now. Like we are all always experiencing capitalism. We are all always experiencing the desire of the ruling class to desensitize us to everything that is happening both here and abroad for people in the United States at very least, but definitely also in other countries. And that like right now that is manifesting itself through this like constant drip feed that we get that like has been a subject of Armed tracks in the past, where we're just kind of microdosing other people's lives, and that ranges from watching somebody do like a silly little dance to seeing a child missing limbs halfway across the world. And it's like it is wild, and like we have no idea how that is like going to affect us as people long term, but in a way we kind of do, because like we've experienced other versions of this in the past, just not at this rapid of a pace.
Yeah, and it just in I don't know. I don't know what it specifically is. It feels like they're even more incisive on this album than ever before. Like, whether it is that just the experience of like you said, like, sort of witnessing like you said, from the tragedy to the grifters to whatever it is, like to just see it all in your feed, whether they've tapped into something even more relatable and real about that experience on this album, I don't know. But it is it's very effective.
It definitely is. One thing I do want to touch on before we get too deep into like the tracks is and I'm sorry that I didn't send this over to you in advance, Troy, because I didn't think to like scan it or take pictures of it. But the vinyl for this record comes with a booklet, a pamphlet perhaps, entitled "Recreational Revolution," which is it's kind of an art zine in a lot of ways. It reads a little bit like a manifesto, but it basically like kind of ties bits of lyrics from all the songs together over its course in like the form of like kind of a short form like discussion in like different sections. There are a bunch of cool pictures that have been taken by let me see who the photo credits are. Let's see. We've got photography from Robert Newick, who most of the photos that he took are from like Bangkok and Tokyo in the 80s. And then Aaron Jones and Trevor Nod, who have both, worked with / been in the band at varying points in their career in the collective, if you will.
I would call them core members of the
I would
Armed
call them
story.
core members. Yeah, they are in fact core members of the Armed story. But this all like obviously ties into the kind of collective. The Armed is yes, a collective that makes music, but like all the other art that goes into it like is directly tied to that. But
Yeah.
also notable about this booklet is that it does also contain a cheesecake recipe, which I still find very delightful.
You didn't happen to make the cheesecake, did you? Because I
I have not
thought we
made the
should do that,
cheesecake.
and then I didn't get a chance to get it together.
I had that thought earlier today, and I was like, ah, crap, it's too late now.
Yeah. I do love cheesecake, though. We should do that at some point.
That sounds great.
There is the one other sort of non-album song from this era. This came out before the album, right? This No
Yeah,
Perfect
No
Sunrise.
Perfect Sunrise. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was on the benefit compilation for relief for the LA fires from earlier this year. This was a thing that was available for 24 hours only. That's what it was?
Yeah, it was a compilation that was like released and then effectively taken down from Bandcamp 24 hours after release.
I mean, I get why it was why you'd want to do something like that, but also this song is really good, and
I know, and
would
it
be
exists
awesome if
nowhere
more people,
at this point,
yeah,
basically.
could hear it. This is like maybe one of their poppiest songs. I don't know where this came from in their chronology, like if this is a leftover from Perfect Saviors or earlier or from the sessions for this album. I don't think they really said, or at least I couldn't find anything that they said about it. But I was listening, it's like I could go for a whole album that sounds like this one. I hear some like We Were Promised Jetpacks a little bit, even like it felt like they're embracing their indie rock side, which is something that I, of course, would love to hear more of.
Yeah, I wrote down that this like has this like kind of like indie tinged like post punk feel with like some like rock and roll mixed in, and also a healthy dose of screaming. Like it feels like it is, if I had to put it in an era, and God knows that doesn't mean anything with regards to like when it was written, but like it kind of sounds like it's in that like ultra pop Perfect Saviors area, like maybe even between those records.
Yeah, well, it's I talked about on the Perfect Saviors episode how I was like, oh, when they go, what I think feels this indie rock mode, it's like, oh, that's kind of what I wanted or what I thought ultra pop was going to be, and this is something similar to that for sure.
Definitely.
All right, should we get into the album, the actual album now?
Let's do it.
All right, this starts with Well Made Play, which is their most aggressive opener in a while, or maybe ever. Certainly since Only Love.
Yeah.
They just I hit play on this and I'm like, oh yes, they are back. Their guitars are squealing and fighting each other, and there's something like unhinged about the way this album opens that is it's great. I love it.
Yeah, and it's funny because the first thing you hear is just that like kind of like almost subdued guitar riff that like which like kind of sounds like ultra pop or Perfect Saviors-y, and then it just blows up from there and like goes off the rails immediately in a good way. But yeah, I absolutely love this song. It is super abrasive. There's some wild sax soloing going on here. Thank you, Patrick, as always. Yeah, it's pretty drastically different from most of their openers, especially on the albums leading up to this, the couple albums leading up to this.
Yeah, and I think it sets the stage well thematically for the album, because this is a song largely about the general lack of self-awareness in culture and interaction, especially online, I think. And I think that sets up really well the idea that if you're like just a normal person, with some self-awareness, I guess, just scrolling through your phone, and you just see all these, like, everyone is trying to, like, we've talked like this idea of Perfect Saviors being an album that was all about projecting an identity, and I mean, an ultra pop kind of was about that too. And you see all these people that are doing it with no sense of the effect that they are having or what they are pushing out of people's feeds, so that people can look at, you can just look at the influencer or whatever. And so, like, yeah, it's this. What does Tony say in the Apple Music blurb?
He says it's about the hyper celebritization of our culture, which is a very apt description, I would say.
Yeah, and it's this idea that, like, you are, what is it? You're blind to your own self, your own reflection, and yeah, I mean, I think it just gets at this idea that is, I think you just viscerally feel by being alive today that everybody wants to be the main character.
Yeah, yeah. And like, in the process of trying to do that, you lose not only your self-awareness, but even maybe your sense of self, because like the kind of refrain that we keep hitting is one last question remains to enter paradise, who are you? And a lot of people probably can't answer that.
Well, I actually see that a little bit differently. I don't see that I mean, I think I mean that's not like a wrong reading of it or anything, but I was taking that more as because it's framed as like how do you that you who are you as in who are you someone notable, and the only way to be worthwhile is to be famous.
Okay, I can see that too. Yeah.
But yes, I think the idea that losing yourself in the fake false front that you project also is obviously something that the Armed thinks about a lot.
For sure, for sure.
The music video for this song is kind of upsetting.
It's deeply upsetting, and that is it is very effective in that particular way.
Yeah, it's this very viscerally shot up close. Is it like all one shot maybe, or pretty much all one shot?
Yeah, I think the camera is just rotating around these two gentlemen who are fighting each other over a jet ski.
They're chained. Yeah, they're chained together. Yeah, they're fighting over a jet ski, and then some people just show up and take the jet ski away while they're still fighting.
Yep. And the band is playing in the background in some shots, which is wild.
Like, way off in the background. Which
like
it's cool.
You could miss it. It's kind of great.
But yes, I think this is a really like all Armed music videos is either somewhere on the spectrum of like just fascinating to truly upsetting, and is as usual looks amazing even though they seemingly probably didn't spend a ton of money on it.
No, they probably paid no money to be in this location, and I'm sure the actors were compensated in some way, shape, or form, but everything else was probably just done with stuff they already had. It's very
they just have a big chain on hand.
I mean, I could see it. I think probably one of the more notable things about this video is that the natural sound that is occurring in that fight does exist in the music video. Like there is that diegetic sound in there, which is what makes it even more upsetting than it otherwise would have been.
Yeah, that was it's not like over the top, but you definitely notice it.
Yeah, no, Tony like mentioned in one of the interviews, like, yeah, no, that's not a music video you're gonna like sit down and like have on repeat. Like you're gonna watch it once and go, oh, that made me feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Well, all right.
I mean, you might even say that about this album. Like it could be one of those. It could easily be one of those things that it's like I don't want to engage with this because it makes me too upset. Although I think the way that it ends sort of turns that on its head.
Yeah, yeah.
The next song is Purity Drag. This one is largely about the sort of fracturing of the leftist political movements, I think, and this like I think, at least to my experience, being like a spectator in the all of your leftist friends arguing on Facebook about the sort of right way to be, or who has the purest best ideology and stuff like that, and just being completely exasperated with it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is one of those songs where like the title so like succinctly represents exactly what's happening in the song that it's kind of absurd, because like drag is an art form that is like effectively at its core an exaggerated performance of gender, and this is that, but with being the most correctly pure person in your friend group, in your extended political movement, whatever. Like it they just straight up say like, purest of them all, nothing is my fault. And it's like, it's obnoxious in a way, but like it is the undertone of what a lot of people are, the front that a lot of people are putting up to prove that they are in fact the most correctly righteous amongst people with probably effectively the same ideology at its base.
Yeah, well, and there's a little bit of the like to be the loudest is the most important, and to make sure that everyone knows. And then also this like, you get to this bridge that even the music largely cuts out, and it's just this screamed like nothing is my fault, nothing is my fault over and over again. This sense of denial that once you're that far into this sort of performance of your political ideology, then there's you can't accept that you might be wrong about something, or that you might be causing some kind of harm by it.
Yeah, and you have to convince yourself that you are in fact still doing the right thing. Yeah, that acapella moment is maybe one of my favorite bits of the song. I do love the like piano that kind of like sticks out of the background in the chorus too.
Yeah, I think this song is also kind of notable because it's one of those. I don't think they do this a ton on this record, and maybe I might be totally wrong about that as we go back through it. But where the persona is of the sort of the person on the other side of your phone screen. This isn't a song about the it's not from the perspective of the person reading all these like, vapid online arguments. It's from the people who are perpetrating them. So it turns the perspective a little bit, but I think it works. It makes the exaggeration of the lyrics feel all the more like it makes it hit harder.
Yeah. And they mentioned here that they're like referencing East Bay hardcore here a lot, which I think is more obvious in other songs on this record, but I think that's kind of a cool tie-in because, I'm a big AFI fan, so clearly I know several things about East Bay hardcore.
I love is there a piano going on in the chorus of the song? This like a really high tinkling thing. It's a cool thing that I kept noticing every time I would listen to it.
It like barely pokes out of the mix, and that's kind of one of my favorite things is when like an element like you kind of have to be paying attention to hear it, but like when you do, like it enhances the experience that much more.
Yeah, and this mix is generally, I think, like thicker, I guess, than Perfect Saviors.
Yes, definitely.
And I think I'm sure that was done with intention, because this is more of a hardcore album than the sort of arena rock tendencies of what they had Alan Moulder do on Perfect Saviors.
Yeah, because they were trying to unabashedly make the world's best stadium rock record on that one, so it totally makes sense.
Yeah, this is definitely more of a like grungy club record.
For sure.
Next up is Kingbreaker. This is one of a few songs on this album that uses an old Armed song title, although I don't think it's really musically or even thematically related. Correct me if I'm wrong about that.
No, but I'm still pretty sure that that's not the case.
Okay, they just like the name.
It's a good name.
Yeah. But this one is about the sort of isolation that we've all sort of grown into throughout the pandemic, and it kept with us, still, even as, the people have, COVID continuing to, circulate notwithstanding, people have generally gone back to their, some, version of their lives before. But they talk about like the quotes, like the great reintegration never really happened, at least spiritually. And I think this song is just kind of about existing in that isolation even still.
Yeah. I mean, you start off the song with the line "Everyone's an alien," and it kind of captures that mood pretty quickly. Yeah.
The broken but in control is the one that got to me. I was like, yeah, I feel that. This idea that you want it's the anxiety of like you want to or you feel like you want to be able to control everything, but that doesn't actually help anything.
Right, yeah, exactly. I want to point out that this song features the great Megan O'Neill on vocals, of formerly of Punch. I think also Super
is she on this too? I thought that was on Grace Obscure.
Oh yeah, she's on this one too, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
I think she's on a couple other songs too, but like more in a like background. But yeah, definitely this one in Grace Obscure. But for anybody, I'm sure most people listening know this, but for anybody who doesn't, Megan was in a hardcore band called Punch, followed by a punk post-hardcore band called Super Unison, and then was briefly in United Nations for like one song, which was really cool. Maybe R.I.P. United Nations, maybe United Nations never dies, who can say? But I love when Megan pops up in a place because she is one of the greatest hardcore vocalists of all time, straight up.
Yeah, well, what she's doing on Grace Obscura is very cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I just really like how Kingbreaker sort of alternates between the screamed and sung modes like really seamlessly, even better than they usually do.
Yeah.
Uh, just I don't know, just generally really like it. The music video for this one is more of just like a straightforward performance video. It's very stylish, and bright in their way. I guess the main notable thing about it is that it ends with the Dan Green character just kind of creepily watching through a hole in the wall, which is kind of funny.
Yep. Yeah. Did you check out like the campsites for this and Sharp Teeth?
Oh no, I didn't. I just watched the videos. Is this did they do the thing where like you can pick which angle to watch and watch the whole video from any of these different camera angles? Is that what it is?
Yes and no. For this
Okay.
one, no. You can cycle between the different shots that they have, but they go in a specific order. So you're just kind of like linearly going through all of the possible all the possible angles and like different types of shots. Because like there are shots with like there are a couple of different shots with the whole band and then fragments of the band. But you like there's a button at the bottom of the screen that like I think just randomly has a like word assigned to it, and you click it and it moves on to the next shot. But for Sharp Teeth, you can just ad hoc switch between the like 3 different shots that they have.
Yeah, which are like largely split screened in that music video.
Yeah, right, exactly.
At least in the like official, release version of it. That's cool.
Which yeah, I love this kind of like fracturing of the idea of like the canonical version of the music video versus the one that you just kind of can create yourself at any given moment here.
Right, yeah, it's as the audience you're assembling your own version of it. It's
Yeah.
interactive. Feels of a piece with their general outlook.
Yeah, definitely.
Next up is Grace Obscure, which we already talked a little bit about, featuring Megan O'Neill. Is this like the most aggressive armed song ever?
It might be. It's up there if it's not.
Yeah, it's this sort of like I guess I read it as being about the kind of the sameness and banality of everyday life, and then this middle section is like trying to like punch your way out of boredom, I guess.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. Like yeah, just kind of going back to like how aggressive this song is. My note was like, yeah, we've got this extended glitchy intro, and there's like some screams poking through it, but it does not at all prepare you for what's coming. Like yeah, this song is just absolutely wild. Like everything feels like it's kind of been thrown in a blender, like both in the classic Armed way and something beyond that. Also, a lot of self-references going on in this song. There's like that pair of lines, Ultra Pop was just a fad, perfect savior put to death. Which is wild.
Yeah, there's an element of the sort of sort of killing of the past selves to create the new, that sort of thing. I was also wondering if it was a reference to the idea that like maybe our attempts to sort of build a genre or be the biggest band in the world, or however they framed it, were not entirely successful, and that like or at least have, maybe not, if not maybe they were artistically successful, but they are just kind of not the most important thing to be thinking about now.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, especially in the context of like the greater themes of the album.
Yeah, that whole section is just crazy. Like I would love to hear the isolated bass track in there. It is doing some
Oh
wild
god,
stuff.
yeah. It is doing some bonkers stuff. That and like the like kind of interlude / outro of this song is just kind of nuts. Like
Oh, it gets so sludgy.
it gets so sludgy. Like those synths are real eerie. There's some real low sax stuff going on. And then just the like screamed every fucking day and all fucking year. It's incredible. This is one of the songs where Tony in the like Apple Music bit was like, yeah, like we're really like heavily referencing AFI here, and I was like, yeah, I somehow came to that conclusion on my own, even though I rarely pick stuff like that out. But yeah, it's this song absolutely rips. I love it a lot. I'm gonna say that about most of these tracks, but
I mean, yeah, same.
This one is truly a standout among standouts.
Yeah. It does also then do, like, pretty seamlessly transition into Broken Mirror. with this kind of wash of fuzzy synth chords that kind of slowly build into what they're doing on Broken Mirror, which features the band Prostitute. Not
Yes.
a band that I am familiar with, but Tony talks them up a lot in the interviews around this album, so I feel like I should get on that.
They are incredible. Tony is correct in his opinion.
Are you so you knew them before this?
Yeah, so I got introduced to them, I think so my friend Al actually opened for them. He was touring with one of his buddies' bands in Michigan. He does comedy, so he was like opening like the whole show. But part like at least part of the tour was with Prostitute, and he was like singing their praises, and I was like, cool, I'll check him out. And then Blake Carell of Like What You Like fame reminded me to check this record out, or their record Attempted Martyr out, and I was floored by it. So I've seen them at this point. They are incredible live. That whole record is really great. Not to give a recommendation before we get to our recommendations, but Prostitute good, and everybody should listen to them if they're not already.
Okay, I will get on that then. But yeah, this song is very cool. I mean, even if you without your recommendation, I think this song makes a good case for seeing what's up with them, because this is like just as angry, I guess, as the rest of the album so far. But it takes the form of more just kind of like calling out all of these different, kind of like all of every stereotype. If the awfulness of Twitter was just like a big party you were at, this is all the awful people who would be there. Is kind of how I think
yeah.
of it.
Yeah, no, that actually totally tracks. Yeah, this I'm always interested when you get songs featuring like full band, because like 9 times out of 10 you mean like the lead singer of this band came in and did a verse or whatever. But like this song is basically all Mo vocally from Prostitute. But like there are definitely like sonic elements of like the full band here. Like this truly feels like a collaboration in a way that a lot of songs that are marked as featuring don't, which I really love.
Yeah. I guess I will know more about that when I check out this Prostitute record. But yeah, I mean you can tell that they're bringing in stuff that they aren't really doing on other songs on this album.
Yeah, it's the synths specifically that stand out to me. If you're looking for kind of the sonic signature there.
Yeah. And it kind of ends with this idea similar to Purity Drag of this nothing is your fault, trying to just push the blame for everything that's wrong on the other side or whatever. And then of course it ends with if everything's religion, baby, we are a cult, sung by a band who often were, if not accused, at least lovingly prodded that they might be a cult.
Dan Ozzie straight up in that one interview was like, yeah, you guys are a cult. And Tony was like, yeah, man, I guess.
But yeah, it's a really great moment on the album.
Yeah, I love that song.
Next up is Sharp Teeth, which this is like where I think they talk about this as kind of the album has just been straight up angry for so long, for the first like half of it basically, and this sort of serves at least to my ears, serves the purpose of some of the interludes on previous albums. Like this is a immediate turn into something that sounds brighter and if not more upbeat, at least not as crushing as the previous 5 songs. But then you read the lyrics and they're extremely dark.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Tony like describes this as a Red Hot Chili Peppers ass song. Classic armed juxtaposition. Far. No, I definitely don't get that at all, but I do find that a very funny description. This is really cool. Like we get sung Kara vocals on this one, which is like kind of rare. She's usually doing more screamy stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think this song is really neat. Like constructed in a cool way. It does the fun songwriting trick that I love, where you kind of start off each verse with a refrain that changes slightly every time you hit it. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is both a neat reprieve in terms of like not just getting your ears assaulted all the time, but like obviously, like to your point, like the lyrics are still pretty devastating on that front. And
Yeah.
it all feels of a piece still, despite that like kind of stark sonic difference of at least the opening of the song.
Yeah, well, and it's, I mean, in the blurb after calling it a Red Hot Chili Pepper song, Tony talks about how it's such a dark the lyrics are so dark and so personal to him that he wouldn't have felt comfortable singing it himself, which feels like it adds to the sense of dissociation that the album is kind of about, and what you might feel like, that kind of the deep depression that I think the song is about. And so the idea of like writing that and then having someone else sing it is like a further layer of dissociation, that I thought was an interesting thematic element to the way the song was written.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, like it kind of escalates over its course too, which like drags you down even further in a lot of ways.
Yeah, the
Like
way the drums like kind of speed up at sudden moments really is very gripping.
yeah, definitely.
We talked kind of about the music video already for this. That is, I guess this is probably the most like armed lore heavy music video in terms of like one of the split screen things is Dan Green watching a tiny TV and waving around a gun, and then at the end getting out of a helicopter with like the most evil look on his face.
Yeah, it's impressive, honestly.
I would imagine they have more sort of story or visual stuff planned for this album cycle, because it felt like that. I think that was the last music video they released, and it felt like it kind of left that on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. I think there's still I imagine there's still more for this album cycle in terms of like not ephemera, but like related art. And I know
Yeah,
that they're talking about like they've obviously been playing some of these songs at the shows that they've been playing, but they are apparently planning on introducing even more into the set list for the next kind of batch of shows, which
cool.
excites me a lot because they haven't played the closing track or the penultimate track yet on this tour. So fingers
That's
crossed.
what I would be wanting to hear.
Same, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, now we're on "I Steal What I Want," another title borrowed from "These Are Lights." That was like the saxophone interlude track from "These Are Lights," right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But this one they said started in the ultra pop era, and this is another one that just has that like almost Interpol or Killers vibe in the verses. It's got a real sick bouncy bass line. This feels very dance inspired. I don't know. This is like one of the most exciting songs on the album for me.
It's a really, dare I say, fun one in a lot of ways. What
Again, until you read the lyrics.
until you read the lyrics, obviously, because that would be weird if we had a happy song on this record. I mean that unironically. But yeah, like I think a big part of the bouncy mood is there's just this constant wood block happening in the background, which is like the last time I heard something like that was in like Little Sister by Queens of the Stone Age. Like that is like it's almost a click track basically that like bled through the song. But it's like kind of off in the background, so it's not like that obvious. But yeah, I don't know. I guess this was also like kind of done in one take, which is wild. Yeah, I don't know. This song is cool as hell. The like kind of drum machine stuff that's going on is cool. There's some cool like Cure-esque guitar stuff going on. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have anything else interesting to say about it musically. They talk about thematically, it sort of again fits in with what they're doing on this album, because it's a song about trying to hold on to what you love as everything around you falls apart, which is just often what existing now feels like.
Yeah, definitely. And you know the constant kind of refrain of "only love oblivion," obviously language they've used before. Even on this album, I think there's another song where they say
Yeah,
"only love oblivion," like specifically.
recurs a
Um,
couple times on this album.
yeah. But yeah, I would say that you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah. After that is "Local Millionaire," which they describe as a song for the haters. But just it is about the idea that what you hate is what you fear in yourself, or what you perceive, what you don't like about yourself, and then you lash out at other people who demonstrate those same things. or who or other people who are like a better version of you.
I think that checks out. So something else that a concept that's been introduced to me recently via another podcast is the idea that your haters are actually maybe your biggest fans because they care the most about you.
Yeah,
Which is a very funny way of thinking about it. But yeah, this song, there's that like kind of I'm not going to try to sing it, but there's that like kind of wordless vocal melody happening in Sharp Teeth that we kind of get a callback to here, which I think is kind of cool. But yeah, and then we also get your biggest fan, go fuck yourself, which is just great, honestly.
Yeah.
They talk a lot about this song being inspired by Mets, which I totally get. For anybody unfamiliar, Mets was a 2-piece rock band that sounded huge, and no longer is around. I'm sure they'll come back someday. I don't know what the circumstances of their breakup were, but I don't think it was bad. But yeah, they talk about how the harmonized vocalizations in the background were kind of a tribute to them, which I think is pretty neat.
Yeah, that was another one I would have just totally missed if I had not read the interviews, because that's a band that I'm also just have not spent much time with. I know are they a Chicago band? They feel like they played Chicago a lot.
They played Chicago a lot. I don't think they are from here, though. I'd have to double check, though.
Yeah. But that's cool. I feel like this album is like giving me a nice syllabus of things to check out with its references.
Of course, yeah.
After that is Gave Up. I think this is the last of the songs that borrows something from an old Armed song, or in this case, from an old Armed cover of a Nine Inch Nails song. This is, but again, it's just the title. In the interviews, Tony talks about seeing this as the most traditional Armed song on the album. Which I can kind of see. It is kind of the most chaotic arrangement, especially at the beginning. Although it's not even like that crazy fast or distorted or anything. It's just that there's a lot going on, which I guess is the kind of the best way to describe the traditional Armed song.
Yeah. It sounds. It's weird that they would feel comfortable in this much chaos, but it is kind of where they have thrived for the entirety of their career in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and then thematically, it is a song about like changing yourself, or trying to change yourself to fit in, or to feel like you can exist in the world, but that just ends up hollowing you out, as it says right in the lyrics.
Yeah. I do find it interesting and also not surprising that this ended up being named after the Nine Inch Nails song that they covered, because like Just Skin for Worship, So Hollowed Out is some real Nine Inch Nails shit.
Yeah.
Which I'm very into. They obviously, that band influences the Armed heavily throughout their career, so totally valid.
Yeah, this was another one where I was just like, give me the bass tone. I need to know everything about what they did to get that sound. It's so like heavy and awesome.
It's almost assuredly JMJ, I would guess, but you
yeah,
never know.
I know that the part of their whole thing is that it's a collective, and at least they release the list of who played on the album now. But man, do I want to know, like, song for song, who did what?
Yeah, for sure. And unfortunately, there is no breakdown in the booklet. I thought there would be.
I did not expect there to be.
No, it was foolish to hope that.
Yeah. Then after that is Heathen. This is, kind of the most unconventional or different song on the album, although Tony describes this song as being full of conventional shit to the point where he was scared to show it to the band.
Yeah, conventional by non-Armed standards, I guess.
Yeah. But it's very much like synth soundscapes and program beats with layers and layers of ethereal vocals. It felt very cinematic to me. Very like almost like a flying car cruising through like futuristic Japan or something like that, as a little bit of the vibe.
Yeah, I get that.
And
some Blade Runner shit.
Yeah, that's a better way. That's the actual reference point there, is Blade Runner. I don't remember if there's flying cars in that, but
nah, probably not. But neon lights, future stuff. It's bad out there.
Yeah, a little bit like the Midnight, I guess, is kind of the band that does that sound, like, to the point of parody.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it is very different than anything else on this album. It's what, 2 minutes longer than any other song on the album?
Yeah, I think it's the only song that reaches 4 minutes, let alone 5 minutes.
Yeah. I don't really know what to make of the lyrics. I guess I think of it as kind of just being about devotion to a person, like this willingness to be to go against the norms of society or what is sort of expected because you care so much about a person.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of what I got about out of it, and it feels pretty straightforward in that regard. I'm sure there's more to it, but like, yeah, I don't know. Tony just describes it as melodramatic as fuck, which it definitely is.
Yeah,
I will give him that one. I love the sax on this.
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. They mentioned in the interviews that it kind of reminded of the sax playing on Black Star by David Bowie, which I think is pretty apt. I haven't listened to that record in a while. I should really throw
Yeah,
it
same.
on sometime soon.
It's phenomenal.
It's so good. I like just seeing the word Black Star. I was like thrown back to when that record came out and floored everybody.
Yeah. Well, and I think Mark Giuliani plays drums on this. I mean, he played on Perfect Saviors, and I believe plays on this as well. Who also
I
drummed
think
on
yeah, he
Black
does
Star.
in some spots here. Yeah,
Yeah. So again, makes sense. Fitting person to pull into your collective if you're a big Bowie fan.
for sure. The other kind of cool production level thing here is that apparently Tony and Kara both did like a ton of layers of vocals so that it like kind of comes out as this like genderless mono vocal that's just like layers upon layers of harmonies that almost sounds like a robot in a way, and I think they achieved a really cool effect there.
Yeah, that's probably part of what is giving me the futuristic vibe from the song.
Definitely, yeah, and you know the kind of synth heaviness of it, which is not something they haven't done before, but like feels really strongly of the like DNA of this song.
Yeah. And then you get to the closing track, A More Perfect Design. This is how you write a closing track. All
This is the
bands take
one.
note. Yeah, this is the one. This is my favorite Armed song. Let's just straight up say it. They talk about this as a track where they just left it all out there. They called it effect over technique, and they said that they did it all like live. No one was allowed to tune their instruments. It just needed to be cathartic. And they sure do achieve that, I think. It's just it sort of summarizes all the things about that they've been engaging with on this album. That it's this the nihilism that you see online, the news itself, the starvation and the genocide, and everything that we just scroll by, and then at the same time we get also fed the highlights of other people's lives too, and then that it builds to this like this ending that it's don't let it make you go numb, don't let it dull your compassion, don't let them tell you you're wrong. Like this idea that this album ends on such an empowering note, I just find very affecting.
It is like they talked a lot about like kind of the cynicism of like the front half of this album, and like the realism contained therein, and this kind of railing against toxic positivity, and like this, yeah, the first half of this song is just like laying it all out for you. Like this is everything we're getting exposed to. This is the ways in which we are affected by it. You must rail against that as the back half, and it really does. It feels so empowering. Like that part hits me emotionally every single time, and I've listened to this song more than anything else on this album, because I am willing to just put this one on repeat. Not to say that it like overshadows the rest of the album by any stretch of the imagination, but like it truly is a great closer, in a sonic sense, in a thematic sense. Like it wraps up what the album is about. So I hesitate to say nicely, but like so perfectly, I guess I would say.
Right, but it wraps it up, and then it gives you a takeaway that's not just like everything is fucked. Like it's a reminder that like no matter how much of what we experience tells us not to care about other people or to distance ourselves from the suffering around us, that like you it is okay, it is normal to think that to like recognize that there is bad stuff happening, and that like to have compassion. It's like it's just this shouldn't be a shocking thing to hear in art, but it is like that kind of earnest, like just simple, straightforward sense of like humanity. It's just it's wonderful to it's weird to be like feel like I'm like bubbling with excitement about something, a song that has literally has a line about child amputees, but like this is, I don't know, I was like overwhelmed the first time I listened to this.
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing is like this song has such a insane arc, because it feels like you're descending into like the pits of despair until you hit that breakdown. Because like the last thing that hits before the breakdown is Kara saying the end of feeling human in like an almost cheerleader type chant, and then you get the big let it make you go numb, and like and like yeah, kind of to your point, like I feel like most other bands, like a sentiment like this would almost be written in a way that feels saccharine, like not saccharine, but like bordering on saccharine. But this feels more like a like, no, you must rail against this this impulse that you have to let it make you go numb, let it stop you from being a compassionate person. Like and I think most people listening to The Armed are probably coming from a place of like wanting everybody to have a chance to live a good and prosperous life, and like are not in fact out to oppress people by any stretch of the imagination. So like even if you have had your compassion dulled a little bit, to put it one way, like I feel like they know that they're speaking to an audience that like wants to rally against that, and I think that's why it's so effective, is because like I feel like everybody has seen themselves being chipped away at in these ways, even if like you're not consciously paying attention to it. Like when it's laid out so bare like this, it's impossible to not reflect a little bit on like where you're at in life and the ways in which you can help make the lives of other people better.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. This idea, like it's so easy to forget, or it's so easy to start thinking that your humane impulses are weird, because if you spend so much time, in the online, weak is certainly they're made out to be weak often, and like you spend so much time in these online spaces, and you don't. I find that I think about this all the time. I find myself realizing that like, oh, a lot of my friends who I would like to hear their, see their perspective on whatever is going on, or I would like to see more of their posts, whatever. They were smart and just deleted all their social media years ago. Like, Twitter's a cesspool because all the cool people left it. Like that's
right. Yeah.
Facebook is the same way. Like the people who were smart and nice are not spending their time in those spaces because they grind you down, and like, and it's one of the things like it makes me wonder why I'm still there too. But like, it's I don't know, the reminder at the end of the song is it's like I said, it's just powerful.
Yeah, and we talked about this a bit in the Only Love episode. This kind of weird way in which the band talked about love as a solution, but like, and how that felt stilted in a way, even though they purported that it was like genuinely how they felt, even though it was maybe worded a little weird. But like getting to "Don't Let Them Question Your Love" at the end of the song feels like the most genuine shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, there's no like hippiness to it at all.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just such a good song.
Oh my god, yeah, for real.
Yeah, which is the end of the album. If you're on the streaming services, if you have the vinyl, and so is it okay? Since you have the record, I don't have one. It's a locked groove, and then there's a hidden track. Is that what it is?
Yep, yeah, you hit a locked groove, but it's way before like the actual like inner groove of the record, and you can see that there's another song there.
Song, yeah,
and then another locked groove after that.
Okay, so this song is called Telemore, is that right?
Yep.
This hidden track. It's kind of like an ambient soundscape thing. I couldn't really make out any of the lyrics. Do you happen to get any lyrics or have anything else about the song?
I wasn't able to find anything online, and I am god awful at like parsing lyrics myself if they're not at least sort of in front of me in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, like this is like everything's like kind of obscured, like literally everything, including but not limited to the vocals, is kind of obscured by this like thick wall of reverb with a little bit of fuzz on it. But I think sonically, like it really like is a cool little piece, if nothing else. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than like I was able to like pluck out of it, but it's a cool and interesting thing, especially to like kind of have be effectively a hidden track, which is a rare thing these days.
I like it because it's a coda but you have to do something specific to get to it. There's no. I like that it's not on like the digital version of the album because I just really like how the album ends.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to. I should have asked folks before we got on here if anybody had the CD version, if it's on there, like in the like if you rewind like back from track.
Oh,
one
the zero track. Let's see if
thing.
Discogs says.
Oh yeah, good call.
Because that's usually they usually have hidden tracks and stuff like that listed. The future is here and everything needs to be destroyed. Does not say. My guess is that it's vinyl only because the locked groove thing feels important to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that is the future is here and everything needs to be destroyed. Great album title. We didn't even talk about the album title at all, which comes from a. Is it the title comes from a? Was it like a paper shredding company that it got kind of like memed?
Yeah, it is. It is literally a billboard for a like data destruction company. Like you know, like you see the like Iron Mountain trucks running around like the Chicago area where like they do like secure document destruction. Like this is one of those companies, which is honestly kind of delightful.
Yeah, it's a great phrase. Added it to my full sentence album titles list on Factory.
Oh yeah, God, I should make a list like that.
I love a full sentence album title. That's not why I love this album so much, but it is a thing that I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, same.
All right. I guess since we're at the end of the Armed series, we gotta rank this discography.
Yeah, we do. You want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I can go first, I guess. I gotta say my number 1 and number 6 I know are right, and the rest of it, who knows?
It's a very weird discography to rank, if I'm real honest with you.
Especially because I was coming to most of these albums for the first time, you know, and so it is. I don't have like years of memories with a couple of them or anything like that. So this is all kind of not quite first impressions. Obviously, we had went in depth on all of them, but it's I have not spent like as much time with all of these albums as many fans have. But my ranking is number 6. These are lights. 5. I have Only Love. 4, Untitled. 3, Ultra Pop. 2, Perfect Saviors, and 1 is The Future Is Here and Everything Needs to Be Destroyed.
That's not super dissimilar from mine. My ranking is These Are Lights at 6, the Untitled record at 5, Only Love at 4, Perfect Saviors at 3, Ultra Pop at 2, and this one at 1, which I debated pretty fiercely in my head, but I think it just is. Like, I haven't spent nearly as much time with it as everything else, obviously. It's been out for a month, but like, I think it had the most immediate visceral effect on me in a way that like the other records, like I definitely appreciate from a like, these are doing something novel and cool, and like no other band sounds like this, and like obviously still no other band sounds like this, but like this record sounds like The Armed wrapped up into a neat little package in a way that I did not expect going in.
Yeah, it's everything that they do, like done in a slightly new way.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we should give a big old thank you to the Armed fan community. They have been really awesome. These have been our most popular episodes of our podcast so far,
Yeah.
which is cool. And various people in the community have reached out to like send us unreleased music and give us like background and I don't know. You've interacted with them more on the Discord and stuff. What do you say? You have anything to add about that?
Yeah, no, like just I want to be so clear. I'm going to continue being in the Discord after this series is over. I'm not just like being a fair weather person. The fan community is super cool. I do specifically want to shout out Josiah and Scott for sending us that extra material. Like unprompted, I should add. Like I did not ask for any of this stuff. It was just like handed to me on a silver platter, which is just amazing. And it was incredibly helpful to have all of these extra materials and like kind of unfettered access to everything that the Armed has ever made available, basically.
Yeah, the fans are dedicated. There's lots of lore. And
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that the band often references in interviews, that like they're like, we probably don't really have that many fans, but the ones that we do have are incredibly dedicated. And
Yeah.
that is that could go a variety of ways, but for the Armed, it is incredibly positive from what I've gotten.
Yeah. So thank you to the community. You've made this series really fun.
Yeah, and thank you to the Armed for actually like reposting our shit, because
Yeah.
I don't think people would have found out otherwise. I would have posted on Reddit and it would have gone into a hole.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very cool. All right. Do you have a random recommendation for this week?
I do, and it's not so random this week because it does relate to this band. I'm going to recommend a upcoming album from Patrick Shiroishi, currently in the Armed, playing saxophone, keys, a million other things. He's got a record coming out later this year called Forgetting is Violent. It's kind of the I guess later this month, actually. Dang, I didn't realize it was that soon. Coming out September 19th. From what I understand, and I apologize if I'm getting this wrong, this is kind of the concluding work in a series of full lengths that he has been working on that are kind of reflecting on his family, specifically his grandfather, who was a prisoner in the concentration camps in America for Japanese Americans back in World War II. It's largely instrumental. I assume that this record is going to kind of continue in that tradition. If you're interested in kind of the ways in which music can be used to tell a story without words, Patrick is a master of that. Patrick also knows how to make literally every possible sound a saxophone can make. So if you like the saxophone, it's a cool exercise in what it's capable of as an instrument. But there's 2 singles out now, Mountains That Take Wing and There's No Moment in My Life in Which This Is Not Happening. Both of them have a couple of featured artists, so there's some other stuff beyond the sax and vocals going on, or occasional vocals going on. This record's gonna be amazing. I have no doubt. I have pre-ordered it, and since this isn't a non-profit radio station that I have to be careful about saying this at, you should just go buy this record now, because you're not going to be disappointed by it.
That is a strong recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody should give Patrick money all the time, so that's I'm a little biased.
Set up a recurring payment on the Venmo.
Yeah, for real. What you got?
I am going to, in my, I think probably half of these, I've recommended a Chicago emo band, and I will continue doing that. Retirement Party has a new EP out called Nothing to Hear Without a Sound. This is, I believe, their first music since getting back together, about a year ago?
Yeah.
And, yeah, they had been on hiatus for a little bit, and Avery is back at it. And this EP is 4 songs. It's short, it's sweet, it's I think really, really good. I've always loved Retirement Party, and they've sort of, sometimes they've been Some of their albums are a little twinklier, some are a little more punk. I think this is just kind of straight down the middle, like indie emo. And it's just a wonderful little EP, and I think you should check it out.
I will definitely check it out. I spent most of my Friday listening, or Thursday/Friday listening to MCR, so I need to catch up on some stuff from this past week.
It was a big week of releases. There was like a few things that I feel like I could have recommended.
Yeah, definitely. But retirement party rules, so obviously.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, big shout out. I'm sure they're playing shows soon. I should have looked that up. But regardless, that is it for this episode for the Armed series. We are going to do a little palate cleanser episode next week on an artist who has only released one record, and that is going to be Boxcar Racer, the Blink-182 side project, which I guess is about fitting timing-wise because we're going to be going to Riot Fest where Blink-182 is playing just after that episode comes out. But that should be a fun one. And then should we announce what we're doing for the rest of the year?
I say we do it.
All right. After that, we are going to spend the next few months talking about Bright Eyes. That is a vast discography with a lot of songs and a lot of albums, and I think it's going to be really fun to work through them. Some of them I have not heard before, and we're also going to do a couple of sort of curiosities, other stuff that Connor Oberst has been involved in over the years, and that's going to take us all the way to the end of 2025.
A vast discography that I'm very excited to talk about.
Yes, same here. All right. Well, in the meantime, you can find us on the internet at noisefloorpodcast.com or noisefloorpod on Instagram or noisefloorpodcast@gmail.com. And as always, refract.
Refract.
Yeah.